You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens.
And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens. So, it has been quite the week, as always, and I don't really know what to say. I just think that 2021 has continued to outdo 2020 with the level of mayhem, madness, fuckery, surprises, thrills, and everything in between. And it has just been just a joy. I like 2021. I must say that in spite of some of the shocking things that have happened thus far, it's looking like things are on the up. You know. So I went to the Poconos Palace, which I teased that in the last episode. So for those people who were like, what was going to happen there? I went. I did a weekend there with, of course, my fiance. Because you can't go to the Poconos by yourself. It's not for groups. It's only for couples. Poconos Palace is a little miles away, like a couple hours away from Philly, about 2.5 hours on the drive. And so we drove there. I didn't drive. He drove. And we went, for the weekend. It was a romantic escape. I had heard a lot about the Poconos Palace, most recently from an episode in the Breakable Kimmy Schmidt, which is no longer on. And that was the episode where she went to Poconos. If y'all remember this, I think it was like season 2, and she was getting it in. That was her first, experience, or for at least on the show. And she went on that little vacation, and they went out to the Poconos, and it was something like Kimmy Goes to a Hotel. I think that's the name of the episode. This is the place where she went. This romantic getaway. And it was fun. It was lovely. There was everything about it. So if you've heard about this place, you've seen Instagram pictures. I know there were this was a place that was legendary back in the day. It was founded in the 1950s. And it was iconic. Because they were known for having the heart-shaped pool and the iconic champagne, glass jacuzzi whirlpool, which is still there. The place looks like a scene from Dynasty. It's giving me the world is yours energy. And it was just so, kesh, very campy and, just very, retro. I felt like I was in some really grand mansion. And what I loved about it is that the pool, so inside of the, champagne suites, I was staying at the Roman Tower. And so basically I had an indoor pool, which was in the shape of a heart. I had a 2-story, abode that had Roman columns and pillars all around. There was gold deco, bedazzled. There was, what else was weird about it? It had a round shape bed. Rose petals was up the steps and the floor. All of the carpet was a seductive red. There was a fireplace with a log that was burning, champagne glasses and buckets. And there was a dry sauna and a big ass champagne jacuzzi that was 7 feet tall, and it was huge. And I got my ass in it and put bubbles in there, had a cute bubble bath. And some of y'all saw those pictures on Instagram. They were lit. It was super lit. It was everything. It was fabulous. It made me, I felt rich in that pool. I felt rich in that damn place. It was gorgeous. And it was just a great escape for both myself and Mr. Johnson, because, Philly has just been having a lot going on, as you all know. There's just been a lot of, crazy gun violence, a lot of political upheaval, and it was just a nice getaway. And what I loved about it was that it was very couples oriented. So we didn't really see too many people. The only time we saw people really was during dinner. They included breakfast and lunch in the packet. Not breakfast, lunch, breakfast and dinner. Yeah, we went and got lunch out in the town and had some great barbecue and charcuterie board and cheese and all of the meats and wineries. They had tons of wineries in the area. We didn't do all that outdoor stuff. There was a park around there that was cute, but we didn't do all that natures and all. It was very rainy on Sunday, but in general, I'm just listen, no, I'm trying to get in this pool. So we did go to the dining hall, and it was so cute because people have been going there for years, and we saw a couple there that goes every single year to Poconos Palace. Like, they love that place. I didn't even realize when I posted the pictures how many people, like a lot of older folks, told me they had their honeymoons there. That was the hot couples destination. But I guess it's making a comeback because of how elaborate it is, and how, like, very, I don't want to say the word kinky. I don't know if kinky is appropriate, but just how cute and cheesy in a good way it is. And I think during a time like this, we could all use more cheesy, kinky love. It was so weird. We got this basket that came with champagne, but it also came with like chocolates and snacks and cute little stuff. But it also came with these like exotic dice, which I've never like heard of, where you can roll the dice, and like there's things on like kiss, touch, taste, all these little like things on them on the pieces of the dice. You're supposed to roll them, and that's what you're supposed to get. And so I showed Mr. Johnson this, and he looked and he was like, well, I don't get it. I'm like, they glow in the dark. If it's a roll them to, he's like, well, don't people just know what they want to do? Like, you don't have to roll it. He's very practical to a default. And I agree. I mean, like, I don't know if I want to roll. I don't know how fun it is to roll. Like, if you're intimate with your partner already, like, you just know what's going to do the thing for them. I don't know if rolling does anything for it. But, hey, everybody's sex life and situation is different. So it worked for somebody. It just wasn't, we didn't need the dice. But it was fun. It was cute. And it was interesting. Like, it was a very diverse group. Like, you had the old Matt Gaetz type of guys that were there. I sensed that there were couples that weren't couples. I sensed mistresses energy a little bit, because there were phones ringing and people looking like, you got to step outside and take that call. Interesting type of situations. There was a guy who was playing the whole evening at the dinner. He was playing on the sticks, which is like some instrument, and playing like all these love songs. Their radio system, their music system played nothing but love songs. Like, all the songs had the word love in them. At least that's what I was hearing. And it was just cheesy and corny, but in a good way. It was very fun. And it was interesting to see the types of couples that were there. Like, you had some real, you had a couple of posh people, but you just got you got middle America energy, but very diverse. Like, there was Latinx couples. I think I saw maybe 2 queer couples, but it was like very, like, most of the people were very older, like older than my parents. Like, that early 50s, you had that mid 40s. You had a couple of young couples that I thought it was cute. And we did, so we went because we thought it was fun. So you had a bunch of that mix too. But, I will be talking more about it in depth somewhere in a publication very soon. So you'll hear more about it. But I just wanted to say that it was just for those who were just like asking what my experience was, it was fabulous. And then I got back and got some lovely candles from Miss Atia, who has that gorgeous candle company I keep telling you all about, the Vanessa Lynn collection. Her candles are awesome. She's about to open a storefront, in the Northeast, which I'm super excited about. And I have one of her candles on as the podcast. I need to get a refill. And she hooks me up with my pair, candle melts. But she has this new scent called Moonlight that has been really touching me right now. And I'm just so in love with it. So I love Vanessa Lynn collection. I just love the candles, and Tia is awesome. And these are just some great candles. So I'm always going to just like shout her out. But yes, so I came back, got candles, had dinner with my bestie Jamarcus, which we went to Punked Burger, which was pretty good. And I had to tell him that something else went down to Poconos. Someone got in my DMs that was a very important person, and I had to just talk to them about some of the things that were going on. I can't talk about that. And I shouldn't have even brought that up. But it was just, the weekend was crazy in a good way, in so many ways, in ways that I can't even talk about right now. And you all would just, if I literally told you what was going on, you all would just be like, what the fuck? It's just, I'm still like trying to understand. But it was good stuff and fun stuff and crazy stuff. In other good news, my brother, who just turned 18 not too long ago, earlier in March, he turned 18. He's an adult. It's wild. He got accepted to Temple University, which is pretty awesome and cool. And I don't know if he's going to come. He's got some other schools that he's applied to that he's hearing back from, but the possibility of him being in Philadelphia freaks me out and excites me, thrills me. And I don't know if I want him to be here with you all, because you are a hot ass mess. And not my listeners, my lovely listeners, except for some of y'all might be creepy and listen that I can't stand. But I get it. I mean, listen, it's on the charts. I get it, But I don't know. I mean, in a way, I think he wants to come because he thinks I'm having so much fun in Philadelphia, which I am. And he's looking at my Instagram story. He's like, he goes out to eat. He gets to have fun. He's like going to media events. I want to be in action. And I would love for him to. He's an adult. He can't drink legally, so that is not happening. But it would be nice to take him as a plus one a couple of times and flex a little bit as big brother and have that. That'd be fun. I just know that, the moment I announced that he was accepted, everybody came out the woodwork. Let me know what classes he's in, so I can, help him with this or where is he trying to go? If he's trying to go abroad to China, let me know. And I'm just like, oh, snap. I think it's cool. I was the first to go to college in my, immediate family in this China trajectory. My mom went to school later, and got her degrees paid for and everything from her job. But I'm the first to go straight to college and finish through, post high school. And so it's interesting because, I didn't have a big brother. I'm the oldest. So I don't know what that feels like to be a little brother. So I think for him, it must be fun, right? Because he gets to have that safety guard of protection. And also have someone that's been through the ropes that can steer him through the process. So that's kind of fun. I don't want to be a helicopter brother or a tiger brother or any of the things that, you all call people who are super protective. I don't think I'm going to be that way anyway. But I kind of enjoy, I would like the fun of popping up on him. And because I do a lot of speaking engagements at Temple sometimes and get called on and stuff, it would be kind of cool. Or just the idea of someone in his class reading something I've wrote or something like that. And then he being yeah, that's my brother, and how cool that would be. I don't know. But it would be fun. Let's see if he goes. And a lot of people are teasing me because everybody knows I'm a proud Penn Quaker. So everyone's teasing me about that. Oh, see, look, he chose, listen, he could have went to Penn. My brother is a big school guy. He likes school. He likes big colleges, football games, social activities. People at Penn, we don't really have, that kind of fun. I mean, we're considered a social Ivy, but social Ivy at Penn is not the same as social college at Temple, North Carolina, Iowa, Ohio State. It's not that. But my brother is like that. I mean, my brother is straight. He's, a cishet guy. So the way that he's going to have college fun compared to how I was planning to have college fun, I was schools like that just freaked me out. Big old colleges like that. I just was oh no, don't get it twisted. I enjoyed stepping foot on those campuses for homecomings and events, but being in classrooms that big and stuff, that's just not me. But my brother is, we're very different in that, and he's interested in criminology and forensic science, and he's cool. He's very athletic. He does track and all that stuff. So he's just, Temple would be awesome for him, and he applied because of that. He asked me about Penn, and I was knowing him as knowing who he is, I was maybe grad school, but that's when you get serious, right? Grad school. But I was undergrad, what kind of fun do you want to have? Is the real question. I think my younger brother, who is going to be 11 on 420, which is hilarious, I think he's going to be the next Quaker. I get from him, he's he likes people, but he doesn't like people. And he reminds me of myself. But I also think he's more cliquey and he's a little introverted, but very social, but social amongst people that he like. And my middle brother, who's the 18-year-old, he's very he's just a magnet. He has that ability to, be with crowds, and he likes all of that kind of stuff. So it's a very different dynamic. But, I think the youngest one is going to end up going to Penn. I think he's giving me that Ivy League energy. But Mr. Kels, he's not going to. He's good. He's looking forward for the big schools. And I'm, the girls and all the all of that. I'm not ready for any of this. So updates on things. So I have, I've written a piece about, vaccinations and being VIP, talking about, the joy of being vaccinated and having a vaccination card and how it feels like having a golden ticket. But some of you motherfuckers out here have taken that shit literally. What I mean by literally is that there are people out here that just because other people are getting vaccinated, you all think that you can go out here and get buck wild. Nobody should be getting buck wild technically. So factually, the CDC is getting scared. One of the head of the CDC said that she's feeling doom. She's worried and she's getting emotional about it. And I'm not even mocking or joking about it. But like these cases, even though vaccinations have increased, so have single day infection numbers and rates of people, contracting COVID-19. It's not going down. It's actually starting to go up now because people out here spring breaking, people out here just cutting up, getting buck wild. And it's like, damn, what's going on? So people are scared a fourth wave might come, a surge. And that's because people out here getting too loose too fast. Slow the fuck down. Okay? Calm down. But you can't blame them because Biden was out here, first of all, you gave people a stimulus. $1,400 stimulus, while also lifting up some restrictions, while also vaccinations. That was going to be a recipe for disaster. But they had to pump the economy. They had to pump the economy. Like the economy had to get stimulated. And so this is when business, capitalism, health, medicine, ethics, and all that shit collide. But, long story short, people out here getting a little loose. People out here doing the most. And the numbers are increasing, like by 5%, I believe. Daily cases are increasing by the 5%. That's a big deal. Even though, again, vaccinations have increased. So what's happening is a situation like this. If you have, and this is according to the CDC, okay, I'm coming with the facts, y'all. If you are vaccinated or fully, let me just say this. Let me put this disclaimer. Fully vaccinated means that after you get your second dosage, that is 2 weeks after you get your second dose. Unless you got Johnson & Johnson, again, 2 weeks after Johnson & Johnson, 2 weeks after your second dose of Moderna or Pfizer. You're not fully vaccinated when you get your second vaccination. You're fully vaccinated 2 weeks after it. So you need to make sure you do the math and get it right. Because some of you all out here, I'm fully vaccinated now. No, you are not. 2 weeks. So if you put that little picture up with that little vaccination card, which you should not be doing, stop putting the vaccination cards up. Vaccination cards have your information. Apparently people are now messing with people's Social Security, taking their taxes, messing with their taxes. There's also a black market now for vaccination cards, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I just want to lay this down. Like, you're not fully vaccinated. So this is a conversation about fully vaccinated people. If you're not fully vaccinated, you shouldn't even be playing out here in these streets. I don't care if you got your first dosage shot. It doesn't count. You got to go fully. So this is not even a problem. So if you're fully vaccinated, if you're not fully vaccinated, none of these rules apply to you. None of what I'm about to say applies to you. You should be locked up, quarantining, staying the fuck away from people. Like, you should not even be doing anything until you're fully vaccinated. Let's just get clear on that part. So this is for my fully vaccinated people. You can still get COVID-19. Your likelihood of you dying from it is very, 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 very rare. You most likely will not die. You indefinitely will not die. The percentage numbers of people who the effectiveness rate is increasing on the vaccinations, and it's super, 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 super safe. So, but let me just be clear about that. It will protect you. The likelihood, the percentage numbers and research shows that you will not die from COVID-19 if you get vaccinated in the right manner. That being said, you can still get COVID-19. And if you can still get it, that means you can still transmit it. And you can still transmit it to people who are, does not have the COVID vaccination, which a lot of people are still not vaccinated, which means that they can still get it from you and they can die. And I'm just going to keep it frank with you. That's exactly what is happening. So for a lot of these people out here who are fully vaccinated that don't care about everybody else,
understand that you're still in a position of risk for those people. And so the CDC guidelines are saying that you can be maskless indoors in private places with people who are also fully vaccinated. So my squad right now is fully vaccinated. Like all of my friends that are in my immediate circle are fully vaccinated. My 90% of my wedding party is vaccinated. I don't know how many are fully vaccinated yet, but I would say that most of them are probably fully vaccinated at this point because the data that I have from my 90% was about 2 weeks ago. So everybody technically, well, let me see. I don't know if they got their second. Some of these people may have not gotten their second shot yet. So by the end of the, I would say by the end of, by mid-April, it would be, by the end of April, for certain, I would say if everybody follows through with getting their second vaccinations and stuff, I will have about over 90% fully vaccinated wedding party. But right now, 90% have gotten at least the first shot. Most of them have gotten their second shots and are fully vaccinated, but I can't give that. I don't know that particular data number. I need to check on that. But I would say by the end of April, all of them would have been fully vaccinated and everybody would be straight. Which means we can all hang out together, most of us. And hopefully the other 10% are, but some of them are babies. Okay. Like my two younger brothers are not vaccinated, but they don't, like, I'm just going to say, I'm not really counting them because they're youth. But as far as everybody else go, the adults, the grown folks, most of them are vaccinated or in the process of getting vaccinated, which is great. So that being said, if we wanted to have, Easter dinner or whatever and get together, all of my fully vaccinated friends, we can have dinner together and be fine without a mask. We good. We're straight. If I go out in public, the game changes because you, number one, don't know who's interacting and coming in and out of these spaces. So you can't, change the dynamic of who's doing what. You can't change the dynamic of who's doing what, like who's coming in, who's coming out. You can't really change that dynamic. And so that's a big deal because you can't control the people who are coming in and out of the rooms or the spaces that you're in. And that's an important thing to know. Because you don't know. You don't know who's in there. You don't know what's going on. You don't have any type of inkling. And so there's risk factors involved. And so that's a big deal. I know there are people who are saying that sometimes, they go certain places and they know the person who owns the business and they're fully vaccinated. So they, they can let their hair down a little bit. Technically, you're not supposed to do that. However, people are going to figure their own little wiggle rooms and things. But public spaces, you're technically not supposed to do it. That's what they say. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm saying that, you need to be following CDC guidelines because clearly, look what's happening when people don't. So, speaking of COVID-19, an important detail I want to add, something that I'm very super excited about. So you all know I've been really covering the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium. And I've been really big about the work that Dr. Ayla Stanford has been doing and how the city needs to give them money. And I've been writing about this and talking about this for a while now. You all have heard it every single episode. I've had something to say about, what they're doing over there at the BDCC. Well, the great news is that this week, the city officially announced that they're going to be giving them, drum roll please, $9 million. They're going to get $9 million, y'all, to continue the work that they're doing around vaccinations, testings, and other things. I am super excited. I'm super just ecstatic that they're having this opportunity to get this type of money. They needed it. And they've been self-funding themselves for nearly a year. Okay? Donors, donations, sponsorships, me, people who have just given out of their pocket to keep them afloat. Now they're getting the type of funding and money that can really pay
for them to increase their efforts and their advocacy because they've been making a difference. And I'm just so happy that that happened. And for people who was out there telling me and telling others, don't yell up at the mayor. That might backfire, or they might not give anything. Pressure makes diamonds. Apply pressure where necessary. It was important for myself and others in the community to continue to challenge the mayor. They gave Dr. Ayla Stanford and that organization tons of awards, praise, and recognition. It doesn't mean shit if they can't sustain their business. Stop just complimenting Black and brown people who are doing great work. Pay them, give them equity, give them resources. Don't just give them all of this, you're great and you're awesome. That's great too. But give these people money and the resources to continue to do all those things that you keep saying is great and fantastic. Put your money where your mouth is. And so the city finally stepped up and did that. And that is important because you have to remember the history where there was that Philly Fighting COVID group, right, who got, some money from the city to fuck up the city. And now, we see a really big change of events. And so this is very monumental. This is very necessary. And I'm very happy that I use my platform to help amplify this issue, in addition to others as well who've been doing it. And all of the favor and grace goes to those Black doctors who have really helped change the perception around this vaccine from the very jump. Dr. Ayla Stanford and the Doctors Consortium got profiled on NBC Nightly News like this week. And just continue to talk about debunking the stigma, because there's a conversation out there that says that 1 out of 5 Black women are still not comfortable with getting the vaccine. But I can only imagine that prior to this, those numbers were even higher. But it's just taking more and more people getting it, showing up, speaking about it, that are doing it. And that's changing the game. Very much so. So I'm just happy about that. And lastly, before I get on, there's this black market, okay, y'all, with people out here apparently selling vaccination cards for $200. Some people are selling it for more, where they are, I guess, getting these cards. I don't know who. I can imagine that it's practitioners. I don't know about Philly, what's going on in Philly, but this is a national issue. But there are practitioners who are apparently getting these vaccination cards, and they're using, they're getting these vaccination cards, and they're using, they're putting names and things and data to make it appear as if that person got their full vaccination. And with these cards, they're so basic in general, the information that, who's to know the confirmation if it's real or not. What is annoying me is that to get a vaccination is free. It doesn't cost anything to get a vaccination. Let's just be clear. But you're not, you're going to fake being vaccinated because you're afraid to get the shot. But then are you not recognizing that by faking it, you're still putting your life at risk? I just make it make sense, y'all. I just think it's the stupidest thing ever. But yeah, that's happening out there for sure. And it's a mess. But nonetheless, nothing compares to the mess that has been this situation that's been going on, of course, in the news. And this case, man. So let me just start by saying that this is the Derek Chauvin case. It's not the George Floyd trial. It is the Derek Chauvin trial. It was him, okay, who basically, he's now an ex-officer, but he was a Minneapolis officer at the time that in May 2020 decided that for 9 minutes and 28 seconds, he was going to keep his foot literally on this man's neck. He was going to literally put a bodily force that led to the death of George Floyd. And it's murder to me. It's cold blood. He killed this man in cold blood. It was on camera. It's disgusting. I haven't seen the video. I haven't sat and saw that video. I will not watch it. I have seen enough, clipsings and images and screenshots, but I won't watch that video. I have not watched it. I don't plan to, because
I know how it started, and I know how it ended. And I believe the journalists and the people who said how it happened and what happened. I don't need to watch it. It doesn't do anything for me to watch it. And I think I've been having these conversations. There's a beautiful episode. I've been telling you I've been watching Queen Sugar and I love it. Last week's episode of Queen Sugar was the George Floyd episode where they were discussing like what I love about Queen Sugar this season, for those who've been watching, is that they've been going through the pandemic. Like, they've really been filming this show, and it's like replaying the pandemic, like the beginning and the reactions. And I just love how this is happening, like, in real time as we begin to get in what I hope to be the upswing of this. And they're showing the issue with the pandemic, but then the racial uprising, and it's just it's so rich. But then there's also, Ava DuVernay, who also does that thing where she likes to just get a little too into the trauma porn for me. And I there's a lot of critiques about Ava DuVernay and all of the things that she do. But, I would just say I will just critique the content. I won't get into the personal politics. I just think that I saw When They See Us. I will never see it again. I just won't. I won't. I just sometimes question Black art that's traumatic in some cases. Is it being made for us, or is it being made for them? And sometimes I feel like for Black artists and creators, and this is my opinion, this is my perspective. I mean, everybody can interpret however they want. This is a free thinking type of podcast. I'm not trying to dictate artistic expression to certain degrees. But I just think for myself, I always wonder when Black artists create, trauma, right, in their cinema. There's always this thing about it's truth, it's real. But I always wonder, who is this audience? Because if you know your audience has seen it, or your audience is aware of it. And do you think about the PTSD? Do you think about how it can trigger them? Are you not recognizing that we don't necessarily always have to see ourselves in pain, or that we don't need to have all the visceralness of it, all because of what the impact is going to have to us? And so if you're making it for us, it doesn't have to be all of that, because we don't need that type of shock reality or factor, because we get it all our life. And so I just wonder, are you making it for white people? Because maybe you can scare the fuck out of white people if you want to, for those who keep acting like they don't know what racism is or don't understand how this works. By all means, if you're creating that kind of content for them to see and freak them out, by all means do it. But that's not often the case I see with these Black creators. They say they're doing it for us, the community. It's for us. It's for us. But how do you do that and say you love us? Because it's hard for me to I, even in my writing, even the subject matter I do, I'm often thinking, if it is for Black people solely, then I have to handle this with a little bit more delicacy and also nuance. And also, sometimes we just don't need to do it. Or if it's for us, it doesn't need to be done. Not to say that I need lollipops and roses, but I just feel like we're in a part in Hollywood where, and this has always been an issue in Hollywood, but with Black creators, that a lot of times we are so hell-bent on thinking that the only thing that's Oscar-worthy is our trauma. That we can't just make simple shit, light shit, stuff that's just funny or lighthearted or thoughtful, and not treat it as if it's intellectually of art over importance. Like, all of our Black stories are oftentimes having to be the most grotesque, violent, outlandish, racial things. Like when I was watching, the Billie Holiday, that film with Lee Daniels, who loves trauma, right? This is the same man who gave us Precious, y'all. I'm just wondering, is this the only way that you can just do art? Is this the only way that you think it's worthy? I think of movies like Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I appreciate it. I loved. It was just a great damn Black film, and it was just a great story. And yes, there was some moments at the end, but I would say that for the most part, there was humor. There was volume. There was value. And I just miss those films. I just miss those Black films that are just very much so, we're here and we're just living. I miss those types of films. And they don't have to be the love films like the Love Jones, but like, I'm just thinking, like, I'm just recollecting like Black films I grew up watching that were just
we were just fun. We were just here. And it wasn't, super over the, like Friday. Friday was just fun. Yeah, there was some madness. But Friday, I think about how, All About the Benjamins, another Ice Cube film. I think about, Soul Food, there was some life in there, but just living. And not it being centered around white people and hardcore crime. I don't know. Harlem Nights, right? Like Coming to America, the first one, right? Like, where are those like just fun movies that are just like, yeah, we're living life and things come up and shit happens, but we're still living, right? That doesn't have all of this hard lessons and this performativeness and over time trauma and everything that is raw, edgy, and gritty. But there's just black folk just living their life. You know what? Oh my God, Akilah and the Bee. I want an Akilah and the Bee. Like, I just want, just that too. I just feel like we're just getting so much of the same shit. I just like, can I just get an Akilah and the Bee? Can I get, there's so many films. I'm thinking about, like an Annie adaptation, a Black Cinderella with Brandy, that Annie adaptation they made. A Dreamgirls, maybe. Something, Sparkle, shit, I don't know. Not Precious. Just something light. What about School Days? Just light shit. I just think everything is just heavy, y'all. Heavy. And the sad part is that the movies that we do get that are light, they don't get the same budget. They don't get the same thing. Like, Girls Trips can be obnoxious at times, but like Girls Trip, I think there was a reason why people really love Girls Trip, even though Tiffany Haddish is Tiffany Haddish. I just think people love Girls Trip because it was just an escape. And like Beauty Shop, like where are Barbershop? Where are those films? Where are they? Like they were just, Just Right. Remember that? I don't know. I just miss a lot of the lightness. Where's a good Queen Latifah movie where she's just being Queen Latifah? And, where are those films? Where's The Great Debaters? I don't know. I'm just thinking about all these movies that I've watched and how none of that is out now. Everything is either like a real crazy, extreme fucking superhero movie or some major like Just Mercy. Like, my God. Okay, yes, Just Mercy was great. And Michael B. Jordan can finally act. But like, and I think that's why people really like Black Panther, because there was that escapism. But like, now we got movies like Queen and Slim, Black and Blue, just super deep and dramatic and too poetic. I just want simple shit. Like why do white people get to have all the Vince Vaughn movies and stuff? I don't know. Anyway, I digress. So Queen Sugar talked about the George Floyd incident, and I just feel like my thing with Ava is that Ava likes to always give us this raw guttiness, and sometimes I'm just like, you're killing me, sis. Internally and emotionally, you're killing me. You're killing me. And I just feel like, I just wish, like A Wrinkle in Time I liked. A lot of people had mixed feelings about Wrinkle in Time when she did that film. But like, I don't know. Queen Sugar's a necessary show. You should watch it. But this episode, it just was just, and I'm just like, was this for me? Did I need this today? Did I need this? Like, was this not for Becky and Chad? Becky and Chad needed that. I didn't need that. I don't know. So I have to, I've learned, I'm getting a little older, so I'm getting a little more sensitive. And I think that's making me just be like, let me just start to pace myself on the content. And as a journalist, I do have a high tolerance level, clearly, because you can't do this work if you really don't. And so you just have to maneuver through a lot of that heavy content. But sometimes in my leisure, I just want to see stupid shit. Like, that's why when you all say, Ernest, why do you always watch those Love and Hip Hop compilations? Because it's an escape. I just love it. Like Love and Hip Hop, those compilations, those shows, those episodes,
They live in a world where there's like literally no white people bothering them. They could be as ratchet as a hot mess, silly, vain, dumb, and it's just an escape. And they live fabulously. They have houses and Rolls Royces and shit, and it's just silly and yeah, problematic at times, yes, but like it's just silly shit, and it's an escape from reality. I was always wondering why people were watching that horrible show Married Under Lockdown and Marriage until whatever. I don't know all those shows, but there's all them silly shows. My best friend Amanda, she watches that shit, and I just be like, girl, why are you watching? I imagine if you're in a PhD program where you're doing prelims and all that stuff, that shit just is an escape from all of the realities of what it's like to be a black woman in a PhD program. Like, I can only imagine. So it's like, I'm starting to get it now. Like, I was like, why do my mom used to always watch these corny reality shows? I get it now. Because life, when you get older and you get grown, you get older, life is really fucking like crazy. And so you do want to see stupid shit. I get it. I guess that's why people are watching Young Sheldon, which I don't understand why. 9.6 million people are watching it. The show got renewed for seasons 5, 6, and 7. It got renewed for 3 seasons. It's the number one most watched comedy on TV, which I don't even think is as good as The Big Bang Theory. That's my opinion. But y'all like Young Sheldon apparently, and people on the internet is looking like, what? What? Really? Y'all like it? So I guess I gotta love it. So anyway, you know, all of this stuff is going on with I, oh my goodness. I have to say this. So I don't know if y'all been following, but there is a particular man that is been doing the Black Ink Crew, which is another ratchet show on VH1. VH1 has been doing good with this reality TV stuff. He is hosting segments, and I just still cringe that he's doing it. So Dr. Mark Lamont Hill has been hosting a lot of this VH1 reality show stuff, and he came up on TV this week, and I was just sitting there looking like, he's still doing these? Like he did the Basketball Wives ones a couple of times. I'm just like, why? How does this make any sense? I don't know. I just think it's weird. But like, I don't know. I just always like cringe when I see people that are like into activism like that, but then they're dibbling, dabbling, like that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't take him seriously on it. And I'm just like, this is weird. And like, if you need money, man, get money. But like, come on, there gotta be a better way, dog. Just saying. I mean, didn't you have a Maybach? I'm just saying. Okay. So George Floyd, all of this. Stop calling the George Floyd trial. Stop calling the George Floyd case. I know people want that SEO value to my journalists and my media people, but y'all, this is not it. It is a Derek Chauvin case. Focus on Derek. Focus on the man who's still alive. Focus on the man who killed a black man. Focus on his ass. But I just gotta say, you know, I have really not been watching the trial that much because quite frankly, I have stopped getting emotionally invested in these trials. Because every time, you know what happens. And we saw with the Trayvon Martin, when the George Zimmerman trial happened, we saw that several times. And every time we know what happens. A lot of times these motherfuckers are found not guilty or they don't really get a real sentence. And then what happens is protests happen. So like apparently in Philadelphia, our crumb bum mayor, Jim Kenney, has said that there is already preparation in place in the event that this goes south. Okay, sure, Jan, but let's talk about this. Don't tear gas anybody, okay? Don't tear gas no fucking body. If you're going to prepare yourself for this, prepare yourself not to tear gas anyone. But anyway, people are, you know, they're trying to prepare because there's a likelihood that this man may be found not guilty. A cop who did this to people. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of things that's wrong with this. And I just feel like, you know, this is a problem. You know what I'm saying? This is a freaking problem. So I don't know. I'm annoyed. Real rap. But that being said, I just am, I just not gonna put myself through watching everything because I just feel like I get emotionally invested as a black man, of course, but then I get disappointed. And so I'm just gonna getting cliff notes. But one person that has specifically stood out to me in this case that I just have to just talk about because I'm just in awe. Donald Williams Jr., who is 33 years old, he is the mixed martial artist and witness in the murder trial of Derek. And his testimony this week was strong. He said he pretty much, referring to Derek, he pretty much killed this guy that wasn't resisting arrest. He had his knee on the dude's neck the whole time. Y'all murderers, bro. And throughout that case, he was as bold and as fearless and as just fucking frank to these pigs who stood by and watched and the pig that killed him. Michael was just an incredible witness. And I mean, for what it's worth, he just got up there and just kept it 100. They were asking him, did you call them a bitch ass, whatever? Yeah. He said, yeah, I did. I did. Yeah. And I meant it. And just stood by his shit. Stood by how upset he was. And they were like, well, you were getting angrier and angrier. And he was like, I was getting more professional. And basically telling them like, I composed myself in that moment, right? Because he didn't pop off, right? Because anger, yeah, you saw someone get killed, an innocent person, an unarmed individual, get killed in broad daylight. And the fact that this man did not strike, he did not hit, he did not do any of those things, which he would have been rightfully so able to do. He could have done, he would have been, it would have been right for him if he had that emotional. I mean, what do you do? Have anyone seen a person in front of you? What would you have done if you saw cops holding you back and holding others back as they pressed their knee on someone's neck in your face and had them die? Like, what the fuck are we talking about? If that motherfucker does not be found guilty, like, the hell with it all. To hell with it all. People, if their people go back to protesting, they should. They should go back to protesting. Because we're still in a state where people do not respect other people's space. So, there you go. That's all I can say on that. Now, speaking of pigs, let's talk about one particular pig. Oink, oink, oink. Okay? Because the tea is hot. The tea is really hot. This Matt Gaetz guy, okay? Matt Gaetz or Gaetz, that Republican who you all know is a hot ass mess, okay? He done found himself, okay? Matt Gaetz had found himself in some trouble, y'all. He is said to be facing with the Justice Department an investigation over sex with an underage girl. An inquiry into the Florida congressman was opened in the final months of the Trump administration. Okay? They're looking into him. They're going into him. So let's be clear about who this man is. He is currently a congressman in Florida. Okay? He's a Republican. Let's just put it out there if y'all don't know who he is. He's a close ally to Trump, who's now a former U.S. president, as you all know. He's currently being investigated by the Justice Department on whether he had a sexual relationship with this girl who is 17 years old and apparently, allegedly, possibly paid for her to travel with him. And that is some people that told this to the New York Times. Okay? The investigators are trying to figure out if he violated federal sex trafficking laws. This is a big fucking deal. Okay, because somebody said that federal statutes make it illegal to induce someone under the age of 18 to travel across state lines to engage in sex for exchange of money or something of value. Okay, sex trafficking. So they said the encounters happened around 2 years ago. People are trying to figure out what's the tea. But the girl was believed to be 17. He's denying it. He's claiming witch hunt. He's going on Fox News talking about there's some, people are trying to extort him and yelling out conspiracy theories. Let me tell you, the Republicans apparently can't stand his ass. He was the douchiest of the douchiest. I mean, some of you all probably didn't see him at CPAC. You probably saw him at some of the RNC events. But he is the douchiest of the douchiest, okay? And apparently a lot of Republicans don't like him, and they're like good riddance, and they're not trying to back him up. They're not trying to back him up, for real, because he's just trash. He's trash. He's garbage. And apparently he didn't support a bill. He's one of the only few, officials that said that pretty much they didn't support, he didn't support a policy that would have actually made tougher penalties and problems for people who was doing sex trafficking. So this is very interesting. He's very interesting, but he's trying to deny it, even though there were some issues with him and a fake son he had in his house, and there was all this speculation about him before. Like, there's been stuff said about him in various publications, and so it's not like this is the first time people have accused him of suspicious behavior. But now there's an actual investigation into it, which means that there's something here. Where there is smoke, there is what? Fire. I just don't see. I don't know. We'll find out. But it's just these you hang with what they say. You hang with the trash, you get fleas. You hang with the riffraff, you lay with the dogs, you get fleas. That's what my grandma used to say. So he definitely got some fleas. I don't know where the fleas at, but he definitely got some fleas. And I don't know. Some stuff is not sitting. Some of this doesn't make sense. But I'm curious to see what's going to happen. But let me say this real quick. Because I got to say this. Because I got to keep it 100. Because I don't care. Listen, at heart, I am non-Democrat or Republican. I don't identify as a Democrat. I don't identify as a Republican. Most of the time I'm forced in positions where I have to vote for Democrats, unfortunately. I wish there was better options that could actually be viable wins. Like, I can't play around. I can't vote third party in a general election. Y'all know. Come on, y'all. Get it together. But I'm critical about both parties. And there are times where, listen, let me say this. Democrats, don't say anything until Governor Andrew Cuomo is up out of there. Because what we're not about to do is be over here acting like one person's shit stinks less than other person's shit. Everybody needs to go if you're doing this type of shit. So he needs to go. Andrew Cuomo is not off the hook. Okay? Just because he didn't pass this cannabis legalization thing, yeah, that's great. Wonderful. Cannabis legalization needs to happen across the country. Yes. However, that doesn't take you off the hook, bro. You got to go. Yesterday. If you hear me say that now, yesterday means that he should have been had his ass gone. And that when y'all people say he needs to go now, when I say he needs to go yesterday, that meant that this should have been happened. He should have went yesterday. And that's how soon he needs to go. It's so soon that he needs to go back and retroactively change his calendar to get his ass to where he should have been rather than where he is the fuck now. Now it's too late for him. It should have been yesterday. So he should have been going yesterday. Out the door. And I think all of these people that's being hushed on it and quiet on it, because all that energy I have for Brett Kavanaugh, which he should have had the energy, he should not be a sitting Supreme Court justice. Brett Kavanaugh should not be a justice on the Supreme Court. He should not. But the fact that he is, and the fact that Democrats and Republicans like to do this mudslinging with each other about who's the more nastiest predators on what party. Both of y'all got predators. Both of y'all got nasty men in power. And they need to go. Yesterday. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Child trafficking allegations are strong. A lot of his racism alone should have taken him out. Let me be very clear. I am not saying that Matt should just go because of these allegations. I'm saying Matt should have been gone because he was a big ass racist. The stuff that he has said, the things he has said, the way that he aligns himself with Trump, the way that he aids and embeds these damn insurrectionists, the way that he's been shucked his job through all of this shit to try to stay relevant, the way he made a name for himself off of all this controversy, that motherfucker needs to go. So there you have it. He needs to go. So I would be resigning if I was him, and so should Cuomo. So for all you right-wingers listening to the show, everybody has to go if they're fucking up. Period. Speaking of people that have to go, Migos. What the fuck? What the fuck? What is going on over there in Migos land? First of all, let me just say that they should have all been going because this group, which includes this trio of the most trash-ass musicians in modern rap. The trashiest trio in modern rap. Name another trio in modern hip-hop that are as trashy as Migos. First of all, they had a couple of hits. Bad and Bougie was a bop. All right, we'll give them that. Versace, annoying. Motorsport, I did like Motorsport. But I like Motorsport more because of Cardi and Nicki on the track. I didn't really care for what they were saying. But they've also had homophobic lyrics in their songs. And like Quavo, using the word queers and all that nonsense and then saying they didn't know what it meant. Fuck out of here, so dumb. They're just trash. Just dumb. Dumb and not even cute. I don't know why everybody thinks they're cute. Why do people think Quavo's cute? I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I don't get it. They look like, it's just I'm gonna keep it classy. So, as we all know, Sweetie, which is a USC alum, okay, who has family in the music industry, and she's gorgeous. She broke up with Quavo. Well, let me break down Migos for people. Some of these people are some of you, my boomers and Gen Xers. Let me put you on game. So Migos is a group of 3 rappers that are from Atlanta. One is named Quavo, one is named Offset, and one is named Takeoff. So Quavo was dating a woman named Sweetie, who is not a very good rapper, but she's cute. And she's made a couple of songs off of covers off of beats that you probably heard of back when you were in college, which was like 20 years ago. She had like some P.D. Pablo and some stuff like that. But she's made covers of them. And she's also made covers of beats like, Kaya's My Neck, My Back, which you probably heard of back in the day. So, he's dating her. Then you have Offset. You don't know probably who Offset is because Offset isn't really that like necessary. I won't say relevant, but necessary. He's not that necessary. He is married to Cardi B, which you definitely know who Cardi B is because Cardi B has WAP and, Bodak Yellow. A lot of number 1 hits. She has now 5 number 1 hits, and you've probably heard some of them, many of them actually. Her 5 number 1 hits, just because I'm a fan, and her birthday's the day before mine, which is October 11th, and mine is October 12th. Her number 1 hits is I Like It Like That, Bodak Yellow, WAP, Maroon 5, Girls Like You, and Up, that just turned number 1 last week. It was an Up. If it's Up, that's her. So she has 5 number 1 hits. Offset only has the number 1 hit that he had with Migos, which is Bad and Bougie. But his solo career hasn't really done much. Just fun fact. He's a serial cheater, but she keeps taking him back. The fans, Cardi B's fans, the Barty gang, we're not really like understand why the fuck she is like keeping this trash bucket. But they have a kid named Culture, which is not to be confused with the album Culture, which they keep naming their albums Culture. Culture 1, Culture 2, and apparently gonna have Culture 3, which each album keeps sounding worse than the last album. So if you don't listen to Culture 2, it's okay. No one else did really, except for streamer people. Culture 1 was somewhat decent, but whatever. So that's Offset. And he's just a serial cheater. Now you have Takeoff, who is like the least most relevant guy in the picture. Takeoff is like just around. People arguably say that he's secretly the better rapper in the group, but no one really listens to him. But why you should be concerned about him is that he was accused of rape last year and is facing charges in a trial in a case around raping a woman, sexually assaulting a woman actually in a hotel back in last year around June. Which if Takeoff would have kept on his mask and respected consent and not been out here fucking around during the pandemic, maybe that would have happened. But again, rape culture in hip hop. So that is what Migos is. They're like the trash group right now. Quavo is just trash, but Quavo wasn't really the trashiest one. He was arguably, people thought he was cute. He had a solo career that isn't really popping off much, but he's remained relevant as like what people consider the lead guy of Migos, and was pretty much popular because of the relationship with Quavo, which people were trying to compare to Lauren London and Nipsey Hussle, which was weird. But Sweetie, and him were like apparently like this, I guess, trap royalty couple, power couple. And now it was suspicion that Quavo was cheating on Sweetie. Here's the thing. A video just leaked or just came out on TMZ because TMZ loves it, where it shows in the elevator that basically Sweetie is trying to get out of here, and he comes and he's grabbing her. Apparently she has a Birkin bag, which he often talks about Birkin bags and how he bought a Birkin bag. And in spite of him buying her a Birkin bag and all of that, he's still cheating on her, treating her like shit, and she still had to leave him. But nonetheless, she's leaving out with this Birkin bag. It shows that there is a shuffle. She's trying to, push him away from her. He's grabbing her and gripping her up. He's highly aggressive. It looks like it's suggesting a very abusive relationship to the point where she's on the floor. And he's like not picking her up. He's standing above her. He's like it's very just a hot mess. And it looks very abusive. And it's just the way that he's handling her. I mean, she's thrown to the floor. He's gripping her up. He's chased her down. He's not trying to let her leave the elevator. It's problematic. And it was caught on camera. And this was before she announced her breakup with him. But it is clear that she wasn't trying to divulge the details of that altercation or what happened. But now Twitter and everyone has been being like, what the fuck? Because the fact that this was happening just shows you that there is, a lot of people be going through stuff. And that is and a lot of people are going through pain and going through things we don't know. And when she decided to leave him, to me, I felt like that was powerful. I felt like that was good for her, that she got out of it. And he tried to gaslight her on Twitter. This is before this video got shown. And gaslight her and kind of say, you weren't the person I thought you were, or whatever. And it's like, she kept trying to dismiss him. And then this video happened. Let me just say this. When you see video images like that, which are also triggering, right? So if you are like a victim of domestic violence or that kind of stuff, listen, just take my word for it. It's not good. You don't got to watch it yourself. But when you are in situations like that, you just know that that's not the first time something like that happens. And that's what it looks like. And people just think that people perform this, not perform, but people, suggest this very strong, powerful, confident woman. Like a lot of people are becoming good at performing wellness. I sometimes have to, first of all, let me just say this. Respect people's space, respect people's boundaries, respect relationships that you have with people, understand the nature of your relationship with someone before you try to do any of what I'm saying. If somebody is not giving you the authorization to really, I think there's sometimes that people that they might see a person may not be feeling right or whatever the case is, you don't get the opportunity to then try to diagnose them or whatever. If it's not your children, a loved one, or really, really close best friend, don't do too much. Be mindful, be respectful. Because I've had situations where I was pissed off about certain things, and there are people that do not have that kind of relationship to me that would try to be like, are you okay? Is everything fine? You're not that person in my life. I know the people I go to seek refuge to. And we all know those people. And I think we are in a society where there's a lot of people that's using therapy language. That's become part of the norm. I read a really great article about that this week about how therapy lingo has become a part of the norm around people talking. But in that process of trying to be this healer, this fixer, this person checking in, some people just overdo it. And I think it's important to understand that send love, but don't inquire sometimes. I think what I've learned is that I have relationships with certain people where I can call them and say, what's going on? Because we done been through the thick of it all. But I also have people I know that I'm like, you know what? I'm seeing some things, but it ain't really, let me just say, look, hope all is well. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're feeling better, something. But I keep it chill. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what it feels like when something goes on, and then there's people that you don't really know that just think that they're coming over, they're overbearingly wanting to do all this reaching out. It's like, well, if you don't have that relationship with that person, you wasn't there for them at the height of their heights or whatever, it's really hard for somebody to take you in when people are going through the struggle. And I've learned that, and I've seen it. But there's people who, and everybody has this, right, that performs wellness well. And that's because for a lot of specific people of color, we live in a society, especially Black women and queer people specifically, I know, that it's no point in bearing all of your vulnerabilities out there in a society that partakes in creating those vulnerabilities and creating those insecurities. There's no reason to bear all of that when you live in a society that says fuck you every day and tell you you're not it. That will say your existence is an abomination, that you're not light enough, that you're not thin enough, that you're not whatever. And so in some ways, those people who are on the margins of that, for real, right? You know, black women, black queer women, black trans people, black queer people, black women in general. When you're on that, what does it feel like to put that out there so that folks can either continue to scrutinize it, continue not to offer the right resources, the right help, and continue to even possibly alienate you even further than how you are? So it's very important that when we're asking for people to be open and be radically transparent, what are you doing to create an environment that allows people to do that? And so that's what I've thought about. But I also think it's important, though, that individuals within their circles and their friend circles are trusting of those friends enough to be communicating that, because you should do that. Like me with all my friends, I'm very clear about the things that tick me off, the things that make me feel good, things that make me feel great. There are things that, you know, will happen in a situation that's a, you know, a part of life where I would get angry, and I know who to call. But I'm not about to necessarily broadcast all of that on my social media. I'm not going to always put that out there for everybody to have an opinion or try to discuss, because sometimes I don't feel like debating about how the fuck I feel about something. And I think with social media is that, you know, I have people that are chatty and conversational. And I think that's great. But I'm very thoughtful about what I choose to put out that's personal, because I don't necessarily need another person's opinion or anybody's opinion as a stranger. And I think that that's the thing about social media and the thing about communicating externally. And something I learned growing up in this business, in this industry, is that you have to be thoughtful about what you want to put out there, because everybody's gonna have an interpretation opinion. I'm as somebody, I'm on the other side of it that can have an opinion about it. If you don't want that kind of negotiation, conversation, debate, don't put it out there. Don't talk to your friends. Find you some friends. Find a network and a circle that you could do that with. And so there are things that I see happening in the world, the government, entertainment, the industry, that ticks me the fuck off. You will never know it, because some of it I don't feel like requires a conversation to be had with everybody and their mother. But some stuff I just like, look, I just want to call my friend and say, isn't this as stupid to you? And we could talk about it. And that's all I needed. I didn't need 300 people in my comments. I didn't need a bunch of people responding and reacting. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I feel like there's a message here and I need people to know this. But oftentimes I'm like, you know what? This is for me. This is just for me and my people. So I think with what happens externally is that there are people that, in spite of those things, perform the wellness. And they perform that everything's good. And they speak all this affirmational stuff. And I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just saying with me, and y'all know me, y'all notice my work, I don't be out here doing all of that. And I'm not saying that, I'm not judging people that do, because everybody has their own style, their own swagger. But I'm just not about to I'm not your motivational speaker in that kind of way. I'm not your daily affirmations guy. Do I have them for myself? Yes, but they're intimate. I believe in having things that are sacred. And I think sometimes there's people who just, I mean, that's how they express themselves. Everything is a positive, that whole good vibes only people. Listen, motherfuckers that be doing all that good vibes only be the main ones who got all the bad vibes. And a lot of that is because they have some unaddressed trauma, unaddressed problems and self-esteem and insecurity. And they think that by just simply, taking pictures in a spa is going to eradicate those issues or address those issues. And oftentimes they don't. So, in my opinion, the girls say to each their own. I just feel like you just never know what people are going through. But I say all that to say that we also need to be in a place to be radically honest with each other about how society has made it where now people are lying about their wellness. People are lying about their circumstances. People are doing the whole, I go to therapy, so everything's all good. But I'm starting to hear from people that go to therapy, like how that is even becoming performative now. Like, oh, the whole, I'm going to therapy, so then that can let people back off me. Which, rightfully so. Professionals need to be professionals. But I'm hearing about people having bad therapists. That not every therapist is good. Not everybody's getting the right therapy they need. Or that there are people that's going to therapy but lying to the therapist. Or people that go to therapy and they're still not letting go and being vulnerable in the ways that they need to. And that the therapy that they was going through wasn't as beneficial for them as they thought. So I just think there's a lot of issues, and I'm not saying that I have found, I think that, because I want to say this. If people, everybody should, if therapy's for you, therapy's for you. But if you're going to go to therapy and do it. Like, actually do it. Do the damn thing. Like, go up in there and really get serious about it. Because there's some people I know who, in my professional network that have gone to therapy and they didn't feel like it did anything for them. But then when I was just like, asking like, hey, well, how far did you go? They had hangups on what they wanted to share and disclose. Like, well, you're going into a damn therapy session guarded. How are you going to get some real transformation? Just real, So I just think, sometimes it's trust factors that might shape that, or experiences, or maybe it's just the person. Maybe you don't feel comfortable with that particular therapist. Maybe that person isn't, there's no connection there. You don't feel that there. I just think, and I digress from all of the stuff that's going on, but I just think that I hope that Sweetie is safe. I'm happy that she got that relationship. It's been disappointing to see, of course, as always, trash bucket men and women, because that's happening now, right? That are making it a point to try to always defend or justify this type of shit. I mean, we have seen elevators. You remember Ray Rice or, Solange and Jay-Z and Beyonce in the elevator, infamous elevator. TMZ in these damn elevator videos, man, like, oh my Lord, they live off of it. They live off of them. They eat off of those damn videos. I mean, it's so obvious. It's just a lot. It's a lot, y'all. So I'm going to talk about this because no one seems to be really talking about it. And it's interesting how silent people have been, to the point where even Versus is supposed to be doing an escape return, and they're going against some group or whatever. And I'm sitting here like, I saw the picture of her and I said, wait a minute, is Tiny going to be still getting public platforms? Tiny? Interesting. And this is Tiny, who, as you all know, currently right now, there's a lawyer that is seeking a criminal investigation of T.I. and Tiny on behalf of multiple women. So, as you know, T.I. is a rapper, famous rapper, and his, wife, Tiny, is a big known singer, part of the 90s group Escape. Now, they're based in Atlanta. It seems like a lot of shit is going on in Atlanta. And they have denied the allegations that they drugged and sexually assaulted women, and their lawyer is basically calling it a shakedown for money. But her, as you all know, Tiny, her name is Tamika Harris, because she's married to T.I. Clifford Tip, or T.I.P. or Tip Harris. There's a lawyer that has now approached law enforcement authorities in 2 states, okay? Looking, basically seeking in criminal inquiries on behalf of 11 people, okay? Who are claiming that they were victimized by the couple or by members of their entourage, So they come with a group of people. I mean, there are 4 women that have accused them of drugging and sexually assaulting them. There's 2 instances of rape that were said to happen in Georgia and California. And this was sent to the lawyer. So the lawyer, his name is Tyrone A. Blackburn, who basically sent these letters to state and federal prosecutors, and also the attorney generals as well. So let's be clear. Blackburn is a New York-based lawyer, okay? And it's been going on for more than a decade, apparently. And apparently it's a pattern of behavior. Allegedly, they're calling it eerie similar. Like, they've been doing this apparently in 2005, then recently in 2017 or 2018. None of the women involved know each other. So I just think it's important to detail this, right? But a lot of them have said that there was sexual abuse. They were being forced to take illegal narcotics. There was some kidnapping, some terroristic threats, some, false imprisonment. These are some strong allegations, y'all. Okay. And the lawyer just basically said that The couple deny in the strongest possible terms these baseless and unjustified allegations. That's what's being claimed. Which is a lot, because again, Tiny was a part of R&B group Escape. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's just, it's giving, what it's giving? It's giving, Surviving R. Kelly energy. And you all remember that documentary that was on Lifetime. It's giving that kind of energy, in my opinion. So one of them said that they had been whisked into the VIP section of a club in LA. This is back in 2005, where she met Tiny and T.I. So this is like 15, 16 years ago. This is a wow. Apparently, they weren't married, but they were there. They said that, basically, Tiny offered the women a taste of her drink. They tried it. They had ordered one drink from the VIP bar, and then they said they said something like a amaretto sour, which was her standard cocktail, the one that she drank. But she said within hours, her and her homegirl were sick, feeling woozy, was vomiting, throwing up, and basically believed that she was drugged. But she said once she became incapacitated, T.I. and Tiny allegedly raped her in that hotel, and that apparently there were that a friend of whatever that was there said that they observed her leaving the club with T.I. So the friend did not go with her. She saw her go with T.I. and Tiny allegedly, and she was 23 years old at the time. So now she's 39 years old. T.I. is 40. And Tiny is 45. So it's a lot. So apparently, there's been a lot of problems. I mean, T.I. has a criminal record, even though he's been trying to reinvent himself as a civil rights activist and elder statesman in the music industry. I mean, there's a lot of issues he's had with guns and firearms. He had the situation in 2009 where he had felony gun charges. There's been a lot of stuff going on with him. He had several reality shows, as you all know. There was the Tiny T.I. and they got the Tiny T.I. Family Hustle. But as of right now, VH1 has postponed production. They want to get more information, but right now they're pausing it right now. Yeah, it's hurting apparently. The rapper's public reinvention. Well, this predated his public reinvention, but the accusations, it's clearly gonna mess up his professional makeover. Because, he's been trying to make himself this upstanding family man. He's been trying to make himself this activist compared to his earlier days. I mean, listen, he's been hanging out with Keisha Lance Bottoms, which is the mayor of Atlanta. He's been, doing a lot of this type of stuff, and really pushing for Democrats and being involved in election. It's a lot of layers here. And, like I said, I think more people should talk about it. I think more people should look into it. I think that, everybody's always saying people should come forward. And then when people come forward, then this is what people do. Right? People don't actually, people say victims step up, show the receipts, tell the story. And then people do, and everybody turns a nose to it or ignore it or really just kind of just be like, oh, okay, little, no big deal. And in this situation, I don't, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it to me. I don't think that's the answer. My opinion. So, speaking of Georgia, there's a young man from Georgia, because I guess there's a theme, Georgia this, Georgia that. But he's not from Atlanta, but he's from Georgia. His name is Montero, as you all know. He's known as Lil Nas X, and he dropped a video that came out, viral video that came out last week called Call Me, Montero, which is his name, Call Me By Your Name, which is a play off of the film Call Me By Your Name, which is an iconic film based off of a very known book. And it's a LGBTQ film, a gay film about an older man who falls in love with a younger guy in Europe. And they have this love affair. And Timothée Chalamet got an Oscar nomination for it in a breakthrough role was incredible. He was very young when he got the nomination. It came out a couple years ago, and Lil Nas X have seen the movie. I saw an interview he did. He saw the movie and was inspired by the song is inspired by a guy he liked. I guess we call the guy Trey, but we don't know who the guy is. But he's in the music industry, and he went to his house. It was last summer, which is interesting because of the pandemic. But anyway, he went to his house last summer and he saw drugs and things, but there was also this. He said he smoked only weed. He said he not partake in drinking. I think he said he only drank. I think he only drank, he said. But he didn't partake in drugs. But he drank. He is 21. He'll be 22 in April. In April, like April 8th, I believe. He'll be 22, but I think he was 21 by then. So he was actually legal drink, but he said he not partaking in drugs. That's what he says. Even though he saw cocaine and things of that nature there. And he was just saying that there was some emotional attachment or connection there, but it doesn't seem like it was romantic, but like there was a wanting there, and so there's always that thing where men have gone through unrequested or unrequired love, I guess they call it, unrequested love. But there was that emotional, those emotional strains that influences some of this stuff. So I mean, listen, I think the song is okay. I don't mind the song. I think the song is aight. It's an aight song. But what really, and let me be clear about this too. He has been promoting this song because I follow Lil Nas X. I'm a fan. Just background before I get into clearly what everyone is like talking about. Lil Nas X is a Grammy Award winning artist. He's won 2 Grammys. He won Best Rap Duo Collaboration for his big monster hit, Old Town Road, which featured Billy Ray Cyrus, who's a longtime veteran country artist, Miley Cyrus' father, but also he had a career that, was iconic too. He won a Grammy. He also won a Grammy for Best Music Video for the video to Old Town Road. So he took home 2 Grammys last year. He made history by having the longest charting Billboard #1 hit. 17 consecutive weeks at #1 in 2019. And as you all know, Old Town Road was a hit. Everybody knows the song. Everybody heard it. Your kids heard it. Your cousins heard it. Your grandpa heard it. Everybody heard Old Town Road. It was the longest running hit. It surpassed Despacito with Justin Bieber, and Louis Fonsi, and it surpassed Mariah Carey's Once We Die with Boyz II Men, which was holding it down for many weeks. It just obliterated and killed it on the charts. And, people thought maybe he was going to be a one-hit wonder, but he had Panini that was in the top 5. He got 6 Grammy nominations, including Best New Artist, Record of the Year, Album of the Year for an EP, which is pretty impressive, and several other rap nominations. And so he killed it. That's what a breakthrough. All of that off of one song and a project that also got embraced by the Recording Academy as an openly black artist, gay artist. And here's the thing: he came out. What's so impressive about him coming out was that he came out during the end of Pride Month in the height of Old Town Road being #1. He didn't wait until after it got off the charts. He came out during the time it was on the charts, and it stayed. And his fan base and following increased, and he continued. And he really didn't feel like he was ever in the closet. I mean, he was always dropping hints in songs and his album cover, and there was a point where people thought they were outing him, but he was like, no, I'm not hiding that I'm gay. And he was out and embraced it, and he got a lot of support from the music community, at least outwardly it looked that way. And I mean, the success of his music and his projects, I mean, it was great. And he was young, and he was like 20 at the time when the song really hit. So, this is impressive. I mean, he's not an industry puppet. He doesn't come from money or anything. But he was able to make a moment, and what a moment it was. And what boundaries he crossed and for country music and pop music and rap. And he just was an iconoclast. So the iconoclast comes back to strike again. And so he's been doing subtle things, right? Like he had Holiday, this song Holiday, which was, for the fans. And, he made some hints around being outward about sexuality. If you've seen his social media, he's not hiding anything. But that countercultural moment happens with the video. The video dropped on Friday night. I was one of the first people to see it. I saw it within the first 5 minutes it dropped. I was looking forward to this countdown. I had to see what this video was about. Woo! Where do we start? So this video is set on, in my imagination, a parody around the concept of condemnation, blasphemy of sexuality and queerness. And he spins it on his head in this really interesting way. So basically, the video starts with Eden. It starts, with biblical references. It shows him being persecuted. It shows his descension to hell, where he's sliding down a pole. Okay, first of all, he's got high heel boots. He is sliding down a pole to hell. And we're under the impression that it's because he's gay. It's because he is different. And it's almost like he's beautiful and he's different. And it's almost like talking about the story of the devil, where Lucifer was the prettiest angel, the most talented one who could sing. And then, of course, he begins to think he's a little bit higher than God. His ego hits him, and then he goes straight to hell, and then he becomes the thing of hell. But in this situation, I guess he's gay. He's being persecuted for his queerness. And then he just says, you know what? I guess I'm going to go where I belong, where he then turns around, slides down. There's a long 9-inch pole, I suppose it is, stripper pole, and long braids, and is landing himself in hell, where he decides to twerk on the devil, Satan himself, twerks on him, give him a dance and some boxes and Calvin Klein's, because product placement, because he's been modeling and doing stuff for Calvin Klein, so I just have to add that plug. And he is twerking on Satan like it is nobody's business and getting his life. And then eventually he removes the horns off of Satan. He puts it on himself and takes the throne as this angelic, temptress. So, of course, you already know the reaction was loud, explosive, and crazy. Everybody was losing their fucking mind. Or let me say this, the cisheads. Cisgender, which means people that are not trans. Heterosexual, people that are straight. The cisheads. Because let's be clear, trans people can be heterosexual. So you have to say cishet because you can't assume that trans people aren't, heterosexual. A lot of trans people are heterosexual. And there are some that are queer. So that's why you have to say cishet. You just can't say cis. Because cis just means I'm cisgender. But that doesn't mean I'm het. I'm gay. So what? Cis homo? I don't know. But basically cishet is the term that people use for cisgender heterosexual people specifically, because they have literally no when it comes to sexuality and gender, they're privileged to be heterosexual and cisgender. That's a double privilege for them in the identity of that direction. Now, that changes within race and everything else that comes with that. But in this particular situation, cishet people, when we're having conversation on sexuality, they have privilege in that way. So here's the thing. There were people just going off. The video's too far. It's racy. It's atonic. What about the kids? 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 What about the kids you didn't give a fuck about when, I don't know, all of your favorite trash ass rappers and musicians were doing satanic things? I mean, come on. Are we not going to act like Kanye West and all of his demonic, Illuminati type energy was already going there? Are we not going to act like people wasn't giving a fuck about the Satanism and 3-6 Mafia? Are we not going to talk about what's your fantasy when Ludacris was out here just talking about what's your fantasy and licking people down, and everybody thought that was cute and still let Ludacris do what he was doing? I just cannot with people who do the whole, what about the kids? You don't give a fuck about the kids. And raise your damn kids. Raise your kids. Raise your kids. I just think it's weird. People out here, So the reason why I think that's just stupid, I'm so happy I have a mother that's smart and educated, parents that are educated. Here's the thing. There's things on the internet every single day that are quote unquote not appropriate for your children. There's nothing that Lil Nas X can do that can change it versus what you should be doing to monitor your kids. if you want to go that direction. Let's just entertain it for 5 seconds. Like there are things. The world is open and wide. The World Wide Web is filled with everything you can imagine. And there's platforms that technically kids aren't supposed to be on until they're 18, but you still let your kids get on them. I think Instagram does not allow people unless they're 18 years old or parental supervision. So technically, you're supposed to be supervising your children on all of these platforms regardless, because let's be clear, there's a lot of people out here giving their numbers to creeps on Tumblr and giving personal information out and getting kidnapped and things. It has nothing to do with Lil Nas X or Cardi B or Meg Thee Stallion or any woman or marginalized group. Let's be very clear. The internet is the wild, wild west for anything that could be possibly concerning. So if you were not concerned about your kids before the Lil Nas X situation, I'm going to need you just to shut the fuck up about it, because that's not going to be the end. There's plenty of sex on TV and movies and things. And if you're worried about that, then you need to either A, have conversations with your children about those things and actually entertain the conversation, or B, do everything you can to be a helicopter parent to shield them from every single thing. What I loved about being in the house with educated folk and thoughtful people is that we had conversations about the things we saw. Like my mom, like when I got to like 13 and things, my mom talked about like sex and TV, and my stepdad talked about, what it means to touch people and keeping your hands to yourself and all of those type of things. You learn, right? You learn. There's movies that come out and there's things that's said in the movies that you're like, what does that mean? Or what is that? And your parents have to talk to you about it. And it's not just birds and the bees. It's life. It's about what are condoms and what is premarital sex and what is ejaculation and what is an erection and what is masturbation. All of those things you should be talking to your fucking kids about before they learn about it from somebody you don't want them to learn about it from. So I love that I learned a lot about sex and sexuality from from mentors and people in my life. Like I understood as a queer person, my mother couldn't talk to me about queer sex, but I had a mentor that I went to school with, I was in high school, but they were like a mentor to me that was comfortable about talking about sexuality and things of that nature. And it was, and I was able to learn about, queer sex and the experiences like that from somebody who was a professional and somebody that was mature. It wasn't like parents, but like clearly that was helpful, because I knew that all the vagina talk and pregnancy stuff wasn't relevant to me. I wasn't ready to tell that to my parents. But like I felt comfortable having that conversation with an adult that did understand that, and there was really good conversations. But like that's what I'm saying. You need to, like, what happened to those days where there were mature people in schools accepting kids, parents that were open and non-judgmental about these sensitive topics. Like now everyone's trying to act like they're just holier than thou and trying to act like all of a sudden it's everyone else's fault but their own. Raise your fucking kids. Like raise your fucking kids. I don't have kids, but like raise them. Seriously, raise them, because God, like I mean, so for example, I've been a mentor in high schools and things, and there are some parents, man, who are not talking to their kids about anything. And then some of these kids see me as a mentor, as a big brother per se in these spaces. And they're like, look, they recognize him queer, and quickly, one Instagram search and voila, he's gay. So they'll come to me and they'll say things like, hey, they're not feeling good or they're upset about something. I'm like, what's wrong? And they're like, there's this guy I like and he doesn't talk to me, but they can't talk to their parents about that kind of stuff. And that's just sad. So I have been that big brother and that mentor to a lot of, sometimes queer youth that are struggling with identity and struggling with all those things. That's very important. And so that's something that, you need to be checking in with your children. Parents that are blaming everything but their kids. Stop blaming music. Stop blaming movies. Stop blaming TV. Look at yourself. Because let's be clear, the TV and all this stuff, that stuff really didn't change much. I mean, TV's been evolving for years. Things have been evolving for years. I mean, it's just, let's just stop. Let's just stop. And be real about what's in the environment. And I can't take seriously the critiques around that. But there are the critiques about religion and people saying, oh my goodness, this is very satanic and bad messaging and disrespectful to religious beliefs. Can we stop? Can we stop with that too? So let me just say this about religion. Lil Nas X virtually did what everyone has told people like him and me my entire life. You all have spent time controlling and dictating the narratives of queer black people, where they're going to go. Oh, hellbound you go. Well, we're going to hell in a handbasket. I guess people like Lil Nas and us for our quote unquote lifestyles. It's not a lifestyle. It's who we are. It's how we were born. It's our experience, and it's who we are. It's not a choice. It's not a selection. I didn't wake up one day and say I want a dick. It was just what I was attracted to. Did you wake up one morning, sir, and decide that you like vagina? Like, did you wake up one day, woman, and just say, I'm going to click the straight button? Like, it's not a choice to be straight. Like, it's not a choice to be gay. So let's stop with all of these thoughts, right? People who are transgender, dealt with gender dysphoria, right? They weren't born one way. They were uncomfortable. They dealt with gender dysphoria. They were not in the right body, and they worked to get to their true identity. And that's real. And if you don't believe that, that's your fucking opinion, but keep it to your fucking self, because it's not your experience. It's not your fucking place. And I just think that on days like this week, we have Trans Day of Visibility, that when people are struggling with visibility, acceptance, and inclusion, is because there's people that want to play devil's advocate on things that are not worthy of playing devil's advocate. Because when you play devil's advocate with oppressed people in oppressed situations, then you're basically playing the role of the oppressor. And why would you want to play the role of the oppressor? Because if you play the role of the oppressor, that means that you understand that the very issue that is happening in the situation is one that requires support and allyship, and no one playing the opposite role. Why do that? Why antagonize? Are you stupid? Like, I just think people just don't understand the sensitivity of that. And so for me, I just really feel like what needs to be said about religious spaces, I mean, especially Christians, like Christians have so much privilege and power, right? In this country, they're always, we're Christians, we're being attacked for being Christian. You're not being attacked for being Christian. You're being attacked for trying to basically enforce your ideology on other people. Okay? People existing does not warrant you to then feel like you have to go on a mission. The very architecture of a lot of these faiths about conversion and crusades were all based on inserting your faith on other people through violence. I mean, are we going to ignore all of these armadas and crusades and things that happened? That stuff, conquistadors, like, are we going to ignore like how Catholicism got into other countries? Are we going to ignore how Christianity got into American culture? Like these are things that were enforced upon people. When you force people to go pledge allegiance to the flag under God, right? When you force people to say prayer before dinner at state houses and things, like this is indoctrinated. And you force that on people, and you assume that Christianity is the faith to go by default. You don't care about Muslims. You don't care about other religious communities. You don't care about people who are not religious. Like, it's like you have been forcing that upon people. And you've been able to get away with it for decades. So Lil Nas X said, I'm going to take you, bet. You all say we're going to hell, bet. And so the reality is that, let's be real about this. They're not mad that Lil Nas X did a video where he was in hell. They're mad that he's taking control of his narrative and his sexuality. He's taking the power from them. The whole concept of hell and queer people was to shame them. And so what he's doing is he's taking off the shame and he's mocking them in their face, and they're in their fucking feelings because they're losing the power. He made some shoes. Nike wants to sue with a partnership he did where he made these Satan shoes that he sold 666 pairs of them. The joke is he's making a joke out of all of this, because at the end of the day, what does it look like for a black queer person to say, you're telling me to go to hell? Well, I guess I am. Ha ha ha. And say, fuck you. The same way people call us the N-word. The same way that we take the power back when women take the power back from being called a bitch. It's a different type of reclamation that those who are oppressors don't want to see happen. They don't want to see the oppressed take power from them, because it's really a power struggle here. Like, everybody want to talk about all the symbolism and all that. Listen, all that's dandy. All that's real. All of that's real. All that's fair. But the truth of the matter is that it's really about power. Because no one had a problem telling gays they were going to go to hell. Like the Westboro Baptist Church have always told us, hellfire we go. No one ever said that was going too far. No one ever said that was crossing the line. No one ever cared about it in that way. But the moment a black queer man decides that he's going to take them up on it and mock it for artistry, then they say he's going too far. Listen, Here's the thing I know to be true. If Lil Nas X would have been his queer self in heaven in that video, they never go to hell, they would have had anger about that. It would have been an uproar about that. So I know how this works. I know how this gets down. And it's just something I've observed in my personal life, seeing a lot of people out here continually project this notion about what is respectable for queer people, what's not. I've dealt with a lot of experiences as a Black queer man where, there was some straight folks, and I gotta call some of y'all out. I ain't gonna call out no name. I'm just saying, where they were like, "Well, Lil Nas X is just so raunchy, and it's just his appearance, his approach, and he's just could have been if he was a little bit more polished. And I like when he was in the Old Town Road, and he had the cowboy hat. He was like you're injecting respectability politics. I know, and my listeners know, my fans and my supporters know this. I have, and I'm not bragging, I'm just stating the facts. I don't have a criminal record. I'm gainfully employed. I own a business. I'm marrying my college sweetheart. I've paid my taxes. I have an Ivy degree. I have a master's degree. And I'm still a fucking problem. I vote. I got vaccinated. Still a fucking problem. And so when you have been in situations where you've been treated as a pariah, when you've been in situations where no matter what you do, your sexuality is going to be weaponized against you, you get to a point where you don't give any fucks. Because I know that no matter how much I can try to pretend that there's a acceptable type of gay, for Black queer gay men, for Black LGBTQI folks, there's never going to be a acceptable form of us to society. They will try to pretend that, these people are the types that we like. But the fact that we're being talked about as in types is the same way Black people are. Okay? They're supposed to have been once upon a time a distinguished Black person, a magical Negro, a Black person that was supposed to be so great and good that person was what they liked. But no one likes any of us because that's how power works, right? There's no perfect Black person. There's no ideal Black person, okay? Look at Obama. Okay, Obama on paper is everything. And he was crucified. He was crucified for his policies, who he was, and sometimes he deserved to be criticized, but crucified he does not. And yet people do the same to everybody. Oprah, right? Denzel Washington, even though I think we all love Denzel, but there's people that will talk about Denzel, right? And so it's no acceptable form of a Black person, the same way there's no acceptable form of a queer person. You all will sit up and say that Lil Nas X was too far with what he did coming down that pole, but y'all are the same people where you ain't seen me coming down any poles and will say that I'm a problem and that I'm too much and that I'm not good. So you don't care. You don't care. It's never good enough for bigots, because bigots are bigots. Any type of person that have a carved out preference for a type of community of people is a bigot. You're segregating folks. I like my gays educated and nice and quiet. But I love my straights to be wild, bangy, and ratchet. I should be able to be all of those things. I deserve to have a thing called what? Humanity. And when you're not creating realistic expectations of humanity for any community of people, then that means that you're perpetuating the bigotry that you claim you're not. You are. When you say things like, well, even with women, right? With Black women, I see this notion of this guy at my barbershop, I had to curse him out, was like, I don't really like loud, ratchet, Black girls. I like classy girls, I like a bougie Black girl. But he's only been dating white women. And if you saw these white women, they were not, in my opinion, I didn't think they were elite. And I said, well, she doesn't seem like she's like upstanding. And I'm not saying who she is as a person. I'm just saying that she doesn't have, this girl wasn't college educated. She, worked at a smoothie parlor. And I'm not judging her socioeconomic status. I'm just saying that why does a Black woman to you have to be, bougie, aka highly educated, sophisticated, and all this, but you can date white women that don't carry those same types of credentials? What makes her different? I asked him that. And then he was nervous. And he was quiet. And he wouldn't say. And that is misogynoir. Because misogynoir is that deep inclined hatred and double standards towards Black women. Moya Bailey coined that term. And it's something that a lot of people don't ever take a step back to say, where is these projections coming from? So this is what I'm saying, is that we have these issues in our community. We have these issues outside of our community. When you have white people saying things like, you're not like the rest of them. Oh, I hate that term, y'all. I hate that term. Because what it tells me is that they have a belief system that predicates off of what they believe Black people, who they believe should be divorced from the violence that they enact on other Black people. And they decide to segregate who deserves and who doesn't. And there are a lot of Black people who perpetuate those double standards by thinking that their Ivy League degrees will save them, that their education and social status and networks will shield them from that. When in fact it doesn't, because that type of hatred manifests in a different way. And that's why I don't give a fuck about any critiques about Lil Nas X's video. Because what I know to be true with cis hets, whether they're Black, white, Asian, Latinx, whatever, is that they will never find us as whole on a systemic institutional level. So I will never be that gay that you're going to catch, that's going to sit up and trash queer people that are expressing themselves. Now, I will criticize queer people that their politics are fucked up. Like, yeah, Malcolm Kenyatta's politics are fucked up. Or if they're straight up trash as a person like Brian Sims, absolutely. But I'm never going to get in the business of critiquing and criticizing queer people on existing and how they decide to express themselves. I'm not going to do that, because you're not going to make me. I remember there was some of y'all problematic was messaging me like, oh my God, you can't. I know you think this video is a hot mess. Like, what you think about it? Because they wanted to get a gay cosign, right? A gay Black cosign to be the respectable one, the one that they liked to come against this brother. And I was like, no, I actually think the video is fine. And I thought that people would have known better by then that, I'm a let live and let be person when it comes to these things. But I had to really realize I need to say something. So I wrote an op-ed for the Daily Beast that defended Lil Nas X's choice in his video. And, was like, yo, this artist is brilliant. He's Black, he's queer, he's brave as fuck. And we need to actually, like, regardless of what we think about taste and style, there's never going to be taste and style conversations when they come after us for who we are. And so to all the gays that I know who are like, well, can we just admit that it was not, the video was just, the CGI was, I said, we can't have a conversation with the straights about all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, we can't fake that. We can't fake the funk. We can't lie about the reality of that. So I support Lil Nas X. I support his artistic expression. I'm happy he's doing it because this industry needs a shakeup. I'm happy that he's got people uncomfortable. I'm happy that some people might be having some real conversations. And I'm happy that we're in a place where he might get a number one. He's gonna definitely blow up the Billboard charts. And I hope he do a second time, because it needs to happen. And that's how I feel about it. I feel like, I've seen it. I've seen, my quote unquote followers, how they act, right? When I put up pictures of me and my fiance, like if we're kissing in the photo, it doesn't get that many likes. But if we're just looking like two brothers in the photo, we get lots of likes. When I say that I'm Black and queer, or I talk about Black queer issues in particular, a lot of times people don't give it much energy to say anything on it. But if I'm talking much about Black issues or racism in general, then, everybody's going to be united. I can't tell how many times people have just told me, why you say black as a black man? I'm like, no, as a black queer man. That's my experience. Like they erase the queerness. And then I hear the old school folks of, there's some things I agree, disagree. Like I say, I'm from the school of, hate the sin, love the sinner. I'm like, that's so fucking disrespectful. But I can't say that. I can't say that to elders. But I would hear that kind of stuff. And people always say, oh, those are people's opinions. But you can't have opinions about me and think I'm going to be cool with you like that. You can't have opinions about my racial identity or my sexuality and think that I'm going to just be okay with that. I no, that's violence, because it's ideas like that. Okay, since y'all want to understand this better, some of y'all, your ideas influence laws. Those laws impact people like me, our lives, right? LGBTQ people's lives. You can't separate those. You can't tell me you don't support gay marriage and don't understand that your beliefs influences public policy. It influences the people you elect. It influences the laws you vote for, the propositions you support. That impacts my life. You're stopping me from having the right to be in love, to exist. Now, let's be clear. Same-sex marriage is now legal constitutionally, but now we're fighting for the Equality Act. We're fighting for other general rights, and people don't understand this whole y'all got your rights. My issue with a lot of folks is that when you're talking about LGBTQ issues, you keep seeing it as a white person's issue. You keep seeing only white LGBTQ people. You keep seeing it. And it's not your fault that you see it that way, because a lot of media have erased black and brown people from the LGBTQ community, even though we was a part of the movement and the revolution, okay? Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, those are black, non-binary, transgender people that threw the stones at Stonewall and got this all fucking popping. Stonewall was not a white movement. It was a fucking black and brown riot. And yeah, there were white people there, but it was us. It was us on the forefront. It was us that got the ball cracking like we did with the civil rights movement and every other fucking movement. Our presence, our voice, that's what we did. And so for people to ignore that, like Bayard Rustin was gay, but he helped organize the Million Man March on Washington. He was one of the biggest confidants to Martin Luther King Jr. We were there. We've been there. You look at the women's rights movement. When you look at the Comanche River Collective and all of the work, the Comanche River Collective. When you look into the work of all of those black women and queer women that were a part of those movements and the work that they did, that was all a part of that. That was all a part of that. And so you can't erase us from it. You can't erase, Angela Davis. You can't erase all of our input in all of society and human society. We were integrated in it. We were intersectionally in it. Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw created intersectionality. I got a chance to meet her. It's all of that is a part of our experiences. You can't separate these identities. You can't separate black women's experiences from being a black person. You can't separate my queerness from being a black person. It's intertwined. And if you only think the only black people that deserve being saved are male or cisgender or heterosexual, then you're not being pro-black. You're being anti-black. So leave Lil Nas X alone. Okay. So there's some cool breaking news that have, come around, which I am, every blue moon, there's some moments, but New York prosecutors subpoenaed a Trump insider's bank records in an apparent bid to gain his cooperation in their inquiry into the former president. Y'all, I keep telling you all that it's going to be the state, not the United States government, not Congress, that will end Trump. And we're just getting closer to it. So that sounds really interesting. So let's talk about this Cadillac, because y'all keep asking me about this Cadillac and I have some thoughts, a little bit of thoughts. So, our favorite grifter extraordinaire, allegedly, Tamika Mallory, who's an activist, as you know, I've been talking about in the past episodes. Well, she back up in it again, child. This time she is teaming up with Cadillac, promoting this damn ass Cadillac. She did a video clip that's now on the internet. Cadillac, they put it on their social media. People are dragging it. This is after all the drama with Samaria Rice, who teamed up with Lisa Simpson, who's the mother of Richard Fishner. Tamir Rice's mother. They put out a joint statement that basically called out the activists and those associated with the Black Lives Matter movement from profiting from the police killings of their children. And Samaria believes that they are simply clout chasers. And she's also talking about the other BLM activists, including people like Sean King. And this man, my son, who is Tamika Mallory's co-host on her podcast, which has this other podcast. I'm not even going to promote the podcast, but they are co-hosts and they're connected to each other with Until Freedom. Basically came to her defense for accepting a corporate sponsorship. Now, she's been getting that heat, like I said. She was doing some pro-black woman Cadillac ad, and folks are really mad that the only black male in the ad is one in drag. Which, I don't know if that person might have been gender non-binary or queer, but there was a lot of different people who was in their feelings. So on Twitter, my son, who is really again, this big Tamika Mallory, they're homies, said on Twitter, quote, "White supremacy is a structure controlled by billionaires whose job it is to keep it going. You can't dismantle it with poor people whose hobby is to fight it. Activism is work, exclamation marks. Lifetime work, and activists have to pay bills, ... Sorry," my son tweeted in response to the Mallory critics. And then somebody got in there and they said, if at Tamika D. Mallory, which is they at her, so they use her handle, said if Tamika D. Mallory was a real activist and grassroots for black folks, she wouldn't be doing commercials. Darren Seals is a real activist. Danye Jones is a real activist. Tamika Mallory has monetized off the death of black men. Our struggle, this is sad. So there's a lot of concerns about the work. People are arguing, what can activists do? And people have tried to defend it. People have tried to make different arguments about the nature. Where I stand with it is that I think the issue is that Tamika Mallory's politics, from my observation, don't align with, sometimes I feel like are a clash of what kind of work she is. Is she a grassroots activist? There's different principles that grassroots activists have. Is she just a social media activist? Or is she just a corporate activist? Or is she somebody who's just a spokesperson, a figurehead? I think she's more of a figurehead in my opinion. But, there's a lot of, she's got to figure out who she's trying to be. Because I think she's trying to be a lot of things for a lot of people. And while I don't personally care for how she's been going about this movement, and I've made that very clear in my previous episodes, I do just think that what I want to say to her biggest supporters is, do you not see how the messaging is off? Do you not see how all this shit is a conflict of interest? Do you not see how her aligning with these corporations in this type of way is exploitative? Now, Jonetta LZ, who is a activist in St. Louis, black woman who's been at the forefront from the very beginning, who's been aligned with Black Lives Matter protests and whatnot. She said that Toyota, the company Toyota, tried to offer her $5,000. She told this story on Twitter over the weekend that that Toyota tried to offer her $5,000 to basically get up in the Toyota and go to a protest and and they were trying to market it. And of course, that money, $5,000, and she said she needed the money personally, but she didn't do it because she did not like the nature of that situation. And $5,000, that was it? Really? Again. So I'm wondering to myself, looking at Tamika, how is this okay? Because let's be clear, we know when corporations like that get involved like that they were using your image, exploiting your image to sell the product. Cadillac could have just sold their fucking cars and just gave their fucking money, if that's what they was going to do. But to try to co-opt the message, the imagery of black women in the movement and take it in this type of way. And why are you consistently censoring yourself? Why not say, you know what? Not to say with Cadillac, let me be clear, not Cadillac. But why not say, you know what? Some of these things I shouldn't be doing.
let me give this opportunity for this mother to get amplified or this resource. Because at the end of the day, it should not be about me. And when you're looking at the stuff she's got going on. So now it's come out that she's writing a book called The State of Emergency. Cardi B and Angela Davis are apparently writing a foreword to the book, which is just... So the book is called A State of Emergency, The State of Emergency, whatever it's called. And she plugged that name at the Grammys performance. So I'm like, you went on a Grammy performance, plug your book, plug your organization, and now here comes the book drop. Here comes the Cadillac appearance. Like, what is going on? Hustling, hustle hard. That's exactly what it is. It's a hustle. And people see it. And people have a right to critique it. And that's all I got to say on that. So lastly, because we're in the spring, but we're about to be in the summer soon. And I just don't understand. I don't understand. Make it make sense for me. Don't even make it make sense for me. But I just had to say, this is my little pettiest post before we wrap this up. Chet Hanks. Okay, can we talk about this man? Chet Hanks is white. He's a white man. He is the son of actor Tom Hanks. Okay, now y'all know Tom Hanks and Rita. Rita Wilson. I think is Tom Hanks' wife. Rita, she's got a career, but Tom Hanks, man. Listen, Tom Hanks is one of those decent white men. Right. I don't hear bad things about Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, he's always seemed like an upstanding guy, an actor that doesn't, get in controversy. He keeps it chill, right? Well respected in the industry, a great fucking actor, a really great actor, a very versatile actor, a 2-time Academy Award winning actor. He's been in great movies with legends like Denzel Washington and others. Tom Hanks is Tom motherfucking Hanks. Now that's a movie star. Okay. Like, they don't make him like that anymore, right? I think, like, Leonardo DiCaprio is, like, one of the last, like, real Hollywood movie stars. Like, Tom Hanks, Denzel, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, like, those are actors. Okay? Tom Cruise, y'all can say what y'all want, but Tom Cruise is a real movie star. They don't make him like that anymore. So, Tom Hanks is great, right? But his son is trash. So, Chet Hanks is basically the type of kid that you ain't trying to let everybody know you're related to. Or you're like, this is my problem child. Because his other son seems like a decent actor. He's trying to do movies and stuff. And he's making a name for himself. He looks more like his dad, actually. Chet Hanks looks more like his mom. But, and also a little bit like his dad. But he's doing too much. So Chet Hanks is just this white boy who can hang out with black people. He's trying to be a rapper or whatever he's trying to be. But he's a hot ass mess. And it's just too much going on. Well, recently he decided he wanted to coin the term white boy summer, to which everybody and their mama have been talking about this. But we got to be real clear about this white boy summer and this drama that's been going on, because first of all, he been trying to play himself as that white boy that is like cool with black people. He like black girls. He be out here speaking in patois, which is that Jamaican, with that Jamaican accent and music, which he got criticized for. Back in 2015, he used the N-word and then tried to defend using the N-word. He is trash. But people been thinking that this interest he has in black women and this whole hot white boy, this white boy summer crap that he's doing, people been thinking this shit is cute. But what isn't cute, okay, is the fact that Chet Hanks had a violent split from his ex and it was caught on video. And let's be very clear, okay? The ex-girlfriend, she's black. So Chet Hanks and his ex-girlfriend are really having a real battle right now. They had a violent relationship that ended in with both of them slinging allegations of violence. There's a video of him having blood on his face. TMZ, yet again, TM motherfucking Z. Okay, T motherfucking Z. That's what the M said, motherfucking. Okay, TMZ has obtained the video, and basically it has says at the end of the video, he has an altercation. It's an altercation between him and the girlfriend named Kiana Parker.
Okay, it got violent in January of this year at his place in Sugar Land, Texas. Fun fact, my baby brother, well actually my young brother, my 18-year-old brother, he was born in Sugar Land, Texas, okay, which is next to Houston. So basically, Chet turns the camera on Kiana when she appears to swipe at him as she holds a pot. She had a pot in her hand, and he's bloodied, okay, reappearing in the next flame, saying she charged at him with a knife, which is something she claims is not true. But he ain't the only one to claim the violence here. Okay, she got a restraining order against him in January, claiming he roughed up on her on multiple occasions last year in January, which is a lot. Now, to be clear, the couple was in New Orleans because he was there to shoot. Well, there was an incident where he was in Your Honor. So y'all didn't know he was in Your Honor, the big old show with Bryan Cranston. Chet Hanks is an actor too, and he also did some rapping. I guess trying to be music, but he's also an actor too. He was in Your Honor, which is crazy. But she claims he became enraged when she said she was going to leave their room to get food. He grabbed her wrist, flung her around allegedly. He denies the allegations and says he never knew she went to court to file a restraining order. But apparently, he called her just a ghetto black bitch, and that he was Chet Hanks, quote, and referred to it. Apparently, there, just a ghetto black bitch is what he apparently said that she put in a restraining order. The attorney is, talking about she's under doctor's care at the moment, and she's tried serving him to no avail. She's even going as far to try to reach out to Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson. And she's trying to make the restraining order permanent. There's a lot. But his lawyer is basically saying that apparently, after he confronted her about stealing money from his credit card, she was accompanied by a huge male who had a gun on him, who viciously attacked him with a knife and caused him to bleed. And it's all on video. And he said it was all on video, and the video tells the whole story. Said that basically her entire claims against him was clearly false, fabricated, fictional. In other words, this white boy that y'all are praising for trying to fetishize black women is actually allegedly violent towards black women. And all of this talk about a white boy summer, I don't think we need a white boy summer. We already had a white boy winter, and that was a fucking insurrection in the country. I don't understand. Tom, get your son. Get your son, Tom. Get your son. I love you, Tom. I love your movies. Okay, I love Saving Private Ryan. Okay, Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, Castaway, iconic. Captain Phillips, iconic. But what isn't iconic is your racist ass son. Get your son. Rita, you don't gotta do nothing. Tom gonna get it. We know what kind of energy Tom Hanks has. Tom has fought against all types of bigotry, hatred. We know Tom knows what it takes. Get your son shit. Get your son Chet, because Chet is cutting up. You need to get Chet together. Okay? Get him together. Get him together for everybody else. Because that is embarrassing. That is so embarrassing. So, that is all. Okay, well, there'll be plenty more to talk about next week and the days to come. I'm going to say this really briefly, and then I'm going to really wrap it up. But, I have a book agent, and I'm repped, as you all know. There is, I don't really ask for all that good karma, prayers, and all that kind of stuff. But we have put something out there. I can't get too specific, but we put something out there, and we're hoping that it comes back good. So, light a candle, light some sage, do what I say, do a prayer, and wish us well. I'm feeling good about it, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. And when it happens, it'll be exciting. And I'll, thank you all for those thoughts. So wish me well, wish me luck, wish me swell, all of the peace, lovings, and blessings to me and to you. Love you all. Thanks. Take care.
Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.